Welcome to Ron&Nick's Best Friend Podcast, a podcast that you cannot live without. This is the Bible version, while Ron is looking at his phone trying to get to the text of John 11. We are on
Did you say this is the podcast you cannot live without?
Let's just say it.
This is the podcast
that you can't live without.
That's right. And this is the Bible study version.
Go ahead.
Holy Spirit wrote the Bible because
He loves us.
And He wants to
have a relationship with us.
Yeah, that's right. Just not more information. He wants relationship. Hey, we come to the next big break in the story this week.
I feel really bad for Lazarus because he's been now. What verse are we in?
We are in verse 38.
Yeah, he's been in there for 38 weeks. We haven't gotten him out yet.
Yeah, he's been in there a long time. Long time. Okay. Wow, this is pretty cool, man. We're making a turn now. I'm going to go back to verse, let's see. I'm going to go back to verse 33, and we'll go up to 38.
We do one verse at a time.
One verse at a time. And we are, let's start, which we already started. Therefore, verse 33, John chapter 11, verse 33, when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her weeping, this is Mary, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled. And he said, where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, see how he loved him. And some of them said, could not this man who opened the eyes of the blind also have kept this man from dying? Verse 38. Then Jesus, again groaning in himself, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay against it. Verse 38. Then Jesus, again groaning in himself, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay against it. Okay, Holy Spirit, we believe you wrote this for us. Show us what you want us to see in this particular verse. We love you, Holy Spirit. You're such a good writer.
My verse says, Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across it.
Wow.
Entrance.
Okay.
Deeply moved again. Oh, my gosh.
Then what I said? Let me see.
You used another word.
I said once more. Once more deeply moved.
Oh, that's what you have?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Wow. I love the Bible. I love this Bible because of the author. Because I know the author. Just in a quick aside, that probably may sound stupid, but I realized, I had some people come up to me in the last week. Really, this is really, really sweet. Not necessarily people in my main stream of people who I know came and brought me copies of my book and asked me to sign it. And you could actually see it when they were asking me to sign it, that they thought it was really cool that they were holding a book in their hand and they were actually knew the author.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure, absolutely.
And I never really thought about that. I think it's cool. I mean, look,
No, I agree.
If I could have met Herman Wouk, who I'm a big fan of, the Caine Mutiny and all the books he wrote, if I could have met him, I think it would have been really cool to be able to talk to him and say, hey, what did you mean when you wrote this part of the book? Or I like this part of the book. That was a really good story. I would have loved to have been able to sit down, have a cup of coffee with him, and just get his insights into what he wrote.
All right,
I love the Holy Spirit.
So
glad that he wrote this.
We're on this deeply moved thing. Is it the same thing?
Same thing. Snorting with anger. Same word as before.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's again.
Wow.
Again, what Nick's talking about is back in verse 33.
Right.
Also translated there, it says he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Deeply moved right there is is the word. I'm gonna go get it again. We don't do this all the time.
Yeah, but this is important.
But yeah, this is a pretty significant word. and I'm not going to pronounce it right, embrimeomai. Embrimeomai. I'm butchering that. It means to snort with anger, to be moved with anger, to admonish sternly. This is deep emotion. This is gut-wrenching anger and grief is what this is.
Listen, I see this. This is what comes across to me because I knew the deeply moved was snorting with anger. Okay, here's what I've always perceived Jesus. We know the story of him turning over the tables, and I've always thought. I'm just going to turn it to me. Have you ever gotten mad at something, and then you kind of cool off, and then you get mad at the same thing? Okay, and you're just going, it's just like, it just builds up because you're so angry and you've calmed down, and now just you bring it back up and you're back. Well, that's what I'm kind of seeing with Jesus. He's just angry. He's just angry at this of whatever he's feeling of what we talked about when last time when you were talking about. He was angry at what? What were you saying? Just the whole situation of sin. He said how it's a broken world, right?
Well, you got to ask yourself the question: what exactly is he angry at? He can't be angry that Lazarus is physically dead because he's fixing to change that, or maybe he is. But I think it's deeper than that. I think it's underneath that. I think it's the whole situation because it starts when he sees these people that he loves,
right,
who are so moved, like Mary and Martha. In particular, Martha gets there and falls down weeping, and that's where he's first said that he's deeply moved and troubled. I think he's angry at everything that's happened since the garden.
Yeah, right.
All of it. This the mess of the whole thing. The deception, the deceiver, the eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and all that came after that, the death that came. He's angry at it.
And he gets angry again.
Yeah. I wonder, too, if he's also angry at the unbelief.
Well, that could be
like deeply troubled over the unbelief. Okay, so that's a very difficult one because you go, okay, well here Mary and Martha's brother is dead. They sent to him. They said, "Come, the one you love is sick." He ends up dying. Then Jesus shows up and they have this exchange. Don't you believe? Look, I am the resurrection and the life. Don't you believe? And they kind of have what feels like, by reading it, kind of a a non-emotional discussion. But maybe it's not so non-emotional for Jesus. Maybe Jesus is realizing, hey, look, I've done all this, I've showed you all this, and you still don't get who I am.
That bothers me because I don't get it a lot of times either. And I've always thought of the Spirit and Jesus loving me through the time. Still don't get it. I never see them angry at me.
Well, you can be angry at someone and love them at the same time. I mean, you've raised kids, right?
Yes, yeah, it's true.
Okay. Have you been angry at them and loved them at the same time?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I don't think Holy Spirit anger is like my anger. My anger is like corrosive and my anger is like a force field that pushes people away. I think God's anger is like it's the opposite. It's the thing that might dissolve the thing. Like it withers it. Like in the face of that, you go,
"Oh, I got you."
Oh no,
That's good.
Because it's
not the same anger.
No, it isn't.
It's holy anger.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of experience with this kind of anger. And I'm not saying exclusively that this is what's going on. I think there's so much going on in this. The one thing you can't get away from is Jesus is letting himself feel all the feels. And I agree with you. It's like, okay, so you had this one moment where there was that anger. The reason that I think I came to this is like I didn't get that the first time. When he sees Mary weeping, I kind of got he's angry about the brokenness of death and sin. But we've just gone through this little interchange with the Jews, if you go back and listen, where they seem to be kind of snarky about, couldn't you have done this and couldn't you have done that? And then you come right off into this. Once more, he's deeply moved. I wonder if this is like the Holy Spirit is saying, okay, this is he's angry again, just as angry, but he's angry at this.
Okay, we talked about the Bible being written by the Holy Spirit, okay? And John is writing this, right?
Yep.
John's not in his brain.
John's not in Jesus' brain?
Right.
No, the Holy Spirit's in John's brain.
Well, my question is this. Do you think he actually can see this?
See this.
Once more, he is moved. What the heck? He is deeply moved. Do you think this is something he's seen or something that the Spirit is telling him? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Once more, he's bringing it up again. Was it visual? Was there anything visual going on?
Oh, okay. Maybe, why does it have to be either or? Maybe it's both. Maybe John, I think probably what happened is John watched this. He was an observer of it, which he didn't have to be. I mean, Luke wrote down the entire Gospel of Luke, and he wrote it with the Holy Spirit's help and interviewed people and wasn't a first-hand witness. John is a first-hand witness, so he could have seen it, and now the Spirit's going, hey, that thing you saw, that's what this was. Or he could have been saying,
that's good.
Or John could be going, wow, he was really angry, and the Spirit saying, yeah, write that down. I mean, either way, it could be both.
Right.
I'm not sure. I know this. The Spirit wants us to know it. The Spirit is definitely saying, okay, look, there's a deep disturbance going on here. And I told you before, I love Jesus. I go back to this again, and I go, he's feeling everything. He's not just waiting through it and go, nah, I'm gonna go ahead and break up the funeral, and get everything going a different direction. He's actually feeling what he feels. You know, maybe at one point he's feeling what he's feeling it towards the effect that death is having on everyone else, and here he's letting himself feel the effect that it's going to have on him, because I don't think it's insignificant that there's a cave with a stone laid across the entrance, that he has to know, he has to see the foreshadowing of what's getting ready to happen to him, and that this exact exchange with the Jews is why, you know, is really at the core of what's going to go on. It's like there's an unbelief, and he's got to go all the way through with death on the cross and being put in a tomb himself. And still there's going to be people who are saying the same kinds of things, like doubting who he is, what he's about. So there's a lot going on when he comes to the tomb.
He came to the tomb, right? It was a cave with stone laid across the entrance. Well, I can picture it. I don't know if I have anything else with that, but
what else do you see? Like, do you feel like the drama building?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because we've taken a long time to get here. A long time. There's been these stops along the way. There's this there's the delay of a couple days before he even gets moving. Then there's the at the edge of town conversations with Martha and then Mary. Then the sidebar with the Jews. All the time, you go back to what you say. Like, who else is there? John is there. All the rest of the disciples are there. I think by this time, they've got to be like busting at the seams. Like, okay, all right. He said we're coming here to wake him up. What's he doing? Why don't we get on with it? And now we come to the place. Even more, Nick, now that I think about the way that this particular, where the spotlight falls now, I see the spotlight, as I told you in the past, like, okay, it moves from the disciples
right
to Mary, Martha, Lazarus, and it moves around. Sure. Okay, right here, I almost feel like the Spirit goes, here's Jesus and the tomb. That's what this is.
That's where the spotlight is now.
The spotlight is on Jesus and the tomb. And you can't help but go,
he's going to be in there.
That's where he's going to go.
Yeah.
And
oh my gosh.
Okay, so deeply troubled.
Yeah.
Listen, what's getting ready to happen to Jesus?
Yeah.
When he goes into the tomb is he is going to be disconnected from his Father, which is an eternal relationship that's never been broken. I mean, we're talking about our wives leaving town. Okay? That's an earthly relationship that is temporarily broken and it's not actually broken, but they go away, they go out of town. Do you feel the impact of your wife being out of town? I do. I mean, I've gone on deployments. I know what that feels like. I'm going away for 6 months from my wife and kids, my earthly connections. Does not feel good. I don't think anybody enjoys, the first day of a deployment, because it feels like a tearing and a ripping, and the ship moves away a foot at a time. It's the most miserable way to leave home you could imagine. It's almost like a torture method. And when he's standing here, he's being put face to face with what's getting ready to happen. You're going to go into that tomb, and your eternal relationship with your Father is going to get ripped and shredded, and it's coming apart, and you've never been apart from him. Now, if that wouldn't make you angry, I don't know what would. Like, it's going to get pulled apart. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, it also makes me love Jesus again more than ever. Whew. What do you think?
I'm thinking of, I went to, this is a while ago, I went to my dad's funeral, went to my dad's burial, and my mom is there, buried next to him, and my dad bought 3 plots because it was a special. Okay.
Oh my God.
And
I don't know why I'm laughing at
it's
that.
because it's stupid. That's why.
Oh my gosh.
And we asked him, I said, well, why'd you get 3 plots? And he goes, well, I just, when I go, I just want to make sure you don't have to worry about things. I said, yeah, but why'd you get 3 plots? He goes, well, there was a special. I said, yeah, but who's going to go in that third one? And he said, well, you could go, or Jimmy, or Dino. I said, well, I'd probably go with my wife or something like that if I was buried. Okay, well, I'm just sitting there going, when I go to his tomb and I see my mom and my dad, I see a third spot. And I sit there and go, okay, well, I guess I'm going to be in that position one day. I'm not going to be in that one particularly, but no, I'm just equating to what you're saying about Jesus sitting there, possibly knowing what's going to happen in the future, and
I guess, oh yeah, like that's your spot.
That's your spot.
How does that feel? How did that feel? I mean, when you consider,
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling.
No, I know where I'm going, but
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's normal. I think all of us feel that way. It's a little weird. It's got to be a little disorienting. But when you think about, like, hey, I'm going to put you're going to take that spot in the ground because of people who,
right,
who actually don't love you, who actually don't believe in you, who actually doubt you, who actually misunderstand you all the time, and are so deceived. It might maybe we haven't brought up this. Maybe this is the anger that he feels towards the accuser, towards the tempter, towards the one who's ripping and shredding all these people apart.
I don't think it's to the people, because we know what he says towards the end, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. I
don't know. I think it could be both.
You think so?
Yeah, I keep going back to the both and. Either or is it's too simple. Maybe it's both. The anger, like when you're angry over Alex being deceived, okay? You're angry at him for getting deceived, but you're also angry at whoever deceived him. You're not.
Yeah, that's true.
You're like, point. Okay, I'm gonna. But but Alex isn't gonna stop being your son because he got deceived, or because he doubts you, right? Maybe do that. Hey, someone made and believed something about you, and then he did something really stupid that doubted you. Okay, now you got to go correct that. Okay, I see a righteous anger there. Okay, now I'm going to go fix this. In the case of Jesus, it just cost him everything.
Look, this podcast, what we do on Bible study, is just to kind of try to get an insight on what's going on here and get your head stimulating on things that you might not have thought of. I can tell you this, and I've told you this several times now on this podcast, that is very hard for me to read the Bible more than a couple
More
lines.
than a verse at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is very
Since
hard.
we've been doing this?
Yeah, there's just a lot there.
Yeah. Well, at least you're reading the Bible, right? You're getting...
Was that a shot?
No, that really wasn't. I mean, I like reading the Bible this way because I want to savor it. I want to interact with the Spirit, and I want to go, hey, what were you... And that doesn't mean I get it right. I mean, there's times that later I go, oh, Holy Spirit, tell me what you think about this. Did I understand that? I go back and listen to our podcast, and I often hear things like, there's another thought here. And he kind of leads me in that direction.
Yeah, you brought it up in your Sunday school class.
Yeah,
and you said, man, there's another
there's tons of stuff.
Thought. And I never,
Yeah, tons of stuff. Which, by the way, everybody out there, we would love to hear your thoughts on this. And we're going to give you a new way to be in touch with us. Right? We're going to say if you want to text us, you can text us at 757-676-9281. Let us know what you are hearing from the Spirit in this verse. Again, that's 757-676-9281. Let us know what you hear from the Spirit.
See you next week.
Yep.